saying is that, the world would be a better place if we all start planting trees in the shade of which we'll never sit. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like my idea with this nonprofit is a lot of the things in the Olympic space are broken, and like the ability for Olympic athletes to train and develop a career and have a life and a family, and even just like live a normal middle class life, like let alone making $1 million contracts, is disappearing.
This is the Mental Metal Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission to help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your metal. Welcome back to the Mental Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman. Thank you for joining me today. And as always, a little bit of gratitude. Thank you so much for tuning in, for liking, sharing, subscribing. Growth of the podcast is happening. It's growing. And I know it's listeners like you like and share and subscribe, and I really appreciate that. Every little bit you do really helps. In fact, you can jump on where you get your podcasts and leave a review, or if you watch it on YouTube, give it a like, make a comment. Starting to see more of those, and that really, really helps. Helps everything. Helps other people find the podcast. It's not an ego thing on my part. I want to share this with as many people as possible. The podcast and the ideas that we're doing here, and you like and share and subscribe, and not just anonymously or just on the internet. Like, give it to somebody and send it to me. Send them in a text and be like, hey, check out this podcast. I think it would really help. I would really appreciate that. It really helps the growth and the message that I'm trying to send, and I really appreciate that. So today's episode is a second part of an interview with Shane Fisher, the USA Bobsled pilot and the founder of the American Paragons Foundation. If you didn't listen to episode 1 with Shane Fisher, which is last week, go back and listen to that, because it's going to make a lot more sense on what we're going. You're going to feel like you're jumping into an interview halfway through, which is exactly what you're doing. So go back and check out episode 1, the last week's with Shane Fisher. We talk a lot about just some of the mental tools he uses and has used as coming up as a tennis player, and that transitioned into a decathlete to transition to a bobsled pilot. And it's a really interesting story that I really appreciate. And not just that, but he talks about all the mental tools he uses and has used in those sports, and how a lot of them are the same, and then how he tweaks it and uses it, and it's really good. And then today's episode, we're going to continue on some of his story, but we're really going to get into how he transitioned into bobsled and to be an athlete for Team USA Bobsled, and also some of the struggles financially that come with being a U.S. Olympian that's not one of the household names. And thus the reason he started the American Paragons Foundation. I talked last week, but I'll say it again, that I am super excited here at the Mental Metal Podcast to be a media partner, an official media partner with the American Paragons Foundation. That means that I get to use my platform to help U.S. athletes in underfunded sports tell their story, amplify their voice, just tell what they're working on and how we can get them support. And then also I get to pick their brains about mental toughness and mental health around athletics, and it's a two-way street. It's really great for me able to talk to these people and then help them out. It's so excited to be a part of this, and I've got a lot of episodes coming up. Shane is doing a great job. I can tell you his foundation is working because he said, "Hey, do you?" When he asked me, he said, "Do you want to be a partner? And it'll mean that you help us out by interviewing Olympic athletes." And I'm like, absolutely. And I thought, well, maybe they'll start to trickle in. We'll see. I've had people reach out to me about different things, and sometimes it's not what I thought it was going to be. And within a week, I've got 6 different Olympians that on the list of people that I'm interviewing, and I've already started to interview them, and it's fantastic. It's just really good stuff. So really excited to be here, but and doing this. So let's jump in. We're going to continue the interview with USA bobsled pilot Shane Fisher. A paragon is a model of excellence, a standard by which others are measured, which makes it a perfect word for Olympians who embody dedication, resilience, and the very peak of physical and mental performance. With that in mind, we want to highlight our partners at the American Paragons Foundation. They're a nonprofit supporting Team USA athletes in underfunded women's and adaptive sports by helping them with career opportunities, media exposure, and real-world support beyond competition. Here at the Mental Metal Podcast, we are proud to be collaborating with them and help amplify the stories and missions of athletes who deserve more visibility. Check out AmericanParagons.org to learn more. There are a ton of ways you can get involved that don't cost a dime. Parents, is your athlete ready for the upcoming sports season? They might have the strength, the speed, and the skills, but without confidence, they could still struggle when the game is online. Skill and strength are great, they're necessary, but they're not used to their full potential without the right mentality. Confidence is key. It's the key to unlocking that full potential. And at Mental Metal Coaching, I offer personalized sessions designed to build the confidence your athlete needs for a successful season. My proven techniques empower them to perform under pressure, both on the field and in life. Don't let a lack of confidence hold them back. Book a free session today and discover the power of confidence. Visit the website, get started on the journey to a more confident, successful athlete with Mental Metal Coaching. So when you're talking about all these things and you're talking about mental health and you started mentioning about failure, you told your story so fast. I want to dive into it a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of failure in there.
I've just failed my way all the way to the top, man. Like that, I've done is failed the entire time. I don't think I've won anything yet. I just don't care. Like I view failure, every single failure is a learning opportunity. And it's very easy. Like, for example, when I have clients that are unmotivated to return to the gym because they got sick, they took some time off, whatever it is, and they go, well, I'm so
we didn't. So let's hold on. You do personal training as well, right? When you're talking about clients, because we didn't really talk about that. I know that, but I just wanted to bring that up. But
so if I have a sports performance client, a personal training client, or a tennis client, or whomever, right, and they come back from an extended time off, and they're unmotivated, they're demotivated, they're demoralized because they perceive themselves as being so much weaker, so much less fit, so much worse at tennis, so just worse in whatever conceivable way than they were when they had cessated from training the first time. Right. It's very difficult to remind them, like, okay, you may have slid backwards, but number one, you're going to get back on quicker than you think. And number two, you're still so much further ahead than when you started. Right? Like you if you start at 0 and you go to 100 and you slide back to 70, you're still at 70, man. Like you didn't go to 0. Like every single lesson that you learned, every single like trait that you gained does not magically disappear, right? And so, and I thought of my own like life and career in the same way. Like I spent a very, very long time training for tennis, and my main goal was to be an ATP touring professional, and that's what I wanted to do. And I spent every waking hour of my life getting closer and closer and closer to that goal. And it did not happen. I just sort of realized like, man, this is not it. Like if I try to do this, I'm gonna get smacked, number one, and I'm gonna go into massive debt. And that doesn't mean I didn't get better, right? I got better in every conceivable way. Like I got faster, I got stronger, I got more
Right.
agile, I got these game skills, I got so much closer. And if I hadn't done all of those things and I hadn't trained and I had just given up immediately, I couldn't have gone to be a track athlete. Like the only reason the Brazilian coaches believed in me and told me, yeah, I think you could go to the Olympics if all you did was do this, is because I had gotten so fit and so strong on my
Right.
tennis journey that he went, yeah, dude, the groundwork is there. Like you have these base qualities to do it, and you're insane. You're completely out
Yes.
of your mind.
Well, see, he was going off of your ability, he knew you would be able to do it because he knew you would put the work in. It
Yeah,
wasn't,
exactly. It had nothing to do
yes.
with me being fast at the time because
No.
I wasn't. You know what I mean? Like I ran like I probably ran like a 4:30, 1500, which is fast. Don't get me wrong. It's about like a
Right.
4:45 mile. Um, and I probably ran at that time like a 12-second 100. Like there was just nothing impressive about anything that I really did. I mean, impress him compared to a guy who eats Cheetos on the couch every day, but like a track athlete, absolutely not. But he went, well, if you took all of the grit that you have and that you've displayed to me in your tennis life and you just directed it towards this, you could get very, very far. And so I said, okay, let's do it. And then I did that for 6 years. And do I perceive that as being a failure? I mean, like if you want to, yeah, you could perceive that as being a failure, but I perceive it as setting me up to be able to do bobsled, right? Like
Right.
everything, I never went backwards. I went sideways and then up, and then I went
Right.
sideways and then I went up, and then I went sideways and then I went up. There's a thousand. I think it's like Miyamoto Musashi or something like that swordsman. He used to say there's 1,000 paths that lead up to the mountain. Just choose one.
Yeah.
And like I'll take 10 different paths. If one of the paths that I start on ends, I'll just go to a different one and just keep going. Like I know the way I'm going is that way. I don't really care which how I get
Yeah.
there. But you
Yeah.
have to be willing to accept those failures and move forward. And I think I learned a lot as a tennis player as well, because like you could lose first round of a lot of tournaments over and over and over again. You have to be willing to just pick yourself back up and say, oh, I'm just going to try again, and I'm going to try again, and I'm not going to try again, and then eventually, if you're insane enough and you just don't quit, you will succeed. I also remember the quick story from my tennis coach. His name was Larry Justice. He passed away in 2020, so I like to tell his stories as often as I can. Um, the day that I said I want to be a professional tennis player and like this is really, really what I want to do, he took me and my parents into the office at the tennis club, and he sat us down and he said, "All right, Shane, this is the path that you need to take. Okay?" He said, "Are you the best player at this tennis club right now?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I agree. You probably are." And he said, "Okay, are you the best tennis player in the city?" And I said, "I don't think so." And he said, "Okay, well, that's next." And he said, "Are you the best player in the county?" I said, "Well, if I was the best player in the city, I'm not the best player in the county." He said,
Yeah.
"I know." And he said, "You're definitely not." And because, San Diego is a pretty competitive place. And he said, "Then you have to be the best player in California. Then you got to be the best player in the United States. Right? And until you're the best player in the city, don't even think about being a professional tennis player, right? Like you got to put your eyes on that
Right.
right now." And then he said, and I know that sounds impossible because, these people are so good. But he said, when I was a kid, I was never the best tennis player in my city. He grew up in Ohio. He said, I played, journey tournaments and I grinded and I moved forward. I moved forward. And then he went to college on a dual scholarship to the University of Miami, Ohio for basketball and tennis. And he said, I graduated high school, and I wasn't even top 50 best players in the United States in high school. But then a lot of these players that were better than me didn't go to college for tennis. And then all of a sudden, I was top 30 in the country because all these
Mm-hmm.
people who were ahead of me quit. And then I was never the best college tennis player in the country. But then I retired from school. We graduate, and all these people who are better than me are lawyers now, and they stop playing tennis. And now all of a sudden, I'm one of the best players in the country. And it's
Yeah.
not because I am, it's just because I'm still here and I'm still waking
Was
up and I'm showing up every day. And then he said, well, then all of a sudden, a couple of years go by and these people start having families and kids and all this other stuff. And now I'm top 5 best in the country. And then, I'm top 200 best in the world. And he was like, at no point was I ever the best at anything, but I just kept showing up. And like because I failed at being the best at all these things, but I refused to stop showing up. And other people, it's like a war of attrition. They'll start falling all
yeah,
around you. And then all of a sudden I was walking in the opening ceremony of the Olympics.
yeah,
And he was like, if you asked me as a high school player, are you good enough to walk in the opening ceremony of the Olympics? I would have laughed in your face, but then here I was. And he was
yeah.
like, you have to go and you have to set your sights on all these really ambitious things. You have to try and be the best player in the city, try to be the best player in the state. But at the end of the day, it's a war of attrition. And the most powerful thing you can do every day is just continue to show up. And that's just what I did.
Well, that's the growth mindset, right? It's so important, and I think that to take that story and put it into what I see in a lot of young athletes that are really good at sports really young don't end
It's
up
dangerous.
being. It's dangerous, really dangerous. And it's just like I see people all the time like, hey, he's the best fourth grader, and I'm like, okay, that's fantastic, great.
I tell my clients all the time,
Like
no college
it's
coach has ever looked at your under 12 ranking. Like,
no,
oh,
it's
I'm the
it's
number 3 kid in the nation in the under 12 division. And it's like, okay, I couldn't possibly care any less. You might as well
yeah.
take that stat and throw it in a fire.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if you get a kid like that somehow is that good, that young, and is able to develop a growth mindset and keep working, sky's the limit for a kid like that.
We're all
But
going to know their name.
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, right? But it's those two are so hard to come together, right? It's so hard.
It is.
Yeah. So where I love that story. Both you, I love the story for you about. I love the idea of sideways and up, sideways and up.
That's all I do.
like
I
you hit.
never go backwards.
It's just don't go backwards, man. Just
You just can't.
keep grinding.
Just keep going, man.
Yeah, because you mentioned you started doing decathlons and you started competing a little bit, and you did that for what 6? You said 6 years.
6 years. 6 years. Yeah.
Like, what was your success level at the decathlon meets?
I was horrible. I was complete garbage.
I mean, when you didn't even do the poll, like, yeah,
I was horrible, bro. I was okay. So I mean, in a lot of individual events, I was pretty good. I could throw javelin 62 meters, which for those track guys out there, as a decathlete, that's pretty darn good. I could throw discus like over 45,
okay,
which again, pretty darn good.
yeah.
And by the end of it, I ran a pretty decent 100. I had pretty, 1500 was fine. But I mean, there was just like I couldn't high jump to save my life. And I had just started getting good at pole vault when I moved over. But I would 95% of my training as a decathlete was I was going to like local meets and just signing up for like 3 or 4 events because there's not that many decks in a year and you kind of have to travel for them and stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the time I would just be going to like summer nights meets and other things around San Diego County. And I would like just sign up to run the 100, to do long jump, and to like throw discus. And I'd be like, all right, that's what I'm going to do this time. And but I was not even close to making a national team, like a U.S. team going to Thorpe Cup or like going to Olympic trials or anything like that. Absolutely not. If I'd have kept going at it, I think I could have eventually broken 8,000 eventually. Especially just I spent $5,000 on new custom pole vault poles, used them one time, and then went to the Olympic Training Center and became a bobsledder.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like in track, especially in pole vault, right? The physics of the event, it's designed for you to hold at the top of the pole. Because the way that the pole bends and everything, it's supposed to launch you back up, right?
It kind of needs to be custom made, doesn't it?
Right. And I was very, very strong. And and I ran fast, and no one had poles that were like, because most of the time you like poles are designed to grow with you as you're a child, right? And it's like in high school and then through college. So I couldn't get on a pole that had like a weight rating of less than like
Right.
200 pounds, because even though I weighed 185, because I was just going to snap it in half. But there weren't any poles that are 200 pounds that weren't like 16 feet long, right? Because something that's
Hmm.
that designed is designed for someone who's been pole vaulting for a very long
Right.
time. But I was like, I can't jump on a 16-foot pole. So I would borrow people's poles everywhere I would go, and I would just ask whoever was at the meet who had the biggest pole. And I would be like, can I use it? And then people in track are really nice. So they would say, yeah, that's fine. You could use this thing. Because they're almost never going to get up onto that pole anyway. It's like their like end of the road emergency pole. And then I would hold down like 3 feet down on the pole, because if I held it at the top, I'd snap it, and I knew I was going to snap it, and I would just vault like that. And I used a pole that was like correctly sized. Like one time, I hit like an 18-inch personal record, and I went,
Right.
all right, I'm gonna go spend the money. And so I got these like custom poles. They were like 13 feet long, maybe like 13.6, but they were like weighted like 200, 205, 210 pounds. And this like I think they're the only poles like that, like probably on the whole planet, because they just don't make any sense to anyone who's
Right.
not a decathlete like this. And they got delivered to my house. I went, used them one time, and then I got invited to the Olympic Training Center to do the bobsled camp, and I never used them again.
So, but I gotta tell you that I've never pole vaulted, but I know people who have, and I know a little bit about it. As far as there has to be some similarities between the confidence it takes to go and try and pole vault that it does to like go down a bobsled run the first
Absolutely.
time.
So much of my like training and everything is really just like I am mentally incredibly strong. Like it's probably my greatest attribute in terms of sports performance. Like I was not built genetically to be incredible at anything. Like I am a very, very average human. I've fought and kicked and scraped for every ounce of athleticism that exists within my body. But my brain works in a way
Hmm.
that almost nobody else's brain works, and I just will believe in myself, and there's no telling me no. And if I commit to doing something, it will get done. Like there is
Yeah.
absolutely nothing that'll stop me. And as like there are so many moments in my life looking back that were just me training my brain. And so, like a good example for that also was like the first year that I did decathlon, my coach put me in gymnastics, and I did gymnastics training at 10 p.m. at night, 2 days a week. I would go down because it was the only time adults were allowed there, because there's like children running around, and so they don't want you there when there's kids,
Right.
obviously. And so
Yeah.
like it would be like 9:30 to 10:30 at night, and I paid to do it 3 times a week. And this is where all my money went. Like this is everything every dime I ever made. I never had savings in my life. I just went, and like opportunities like this, I just invested all of it in this. I said, I don't care. I'll just die on the street. And I did gymnastics, and like the guy taught me how to do backflips and all these other things, because they said when you start doing pole vault and you start running hurdles, if you
Yeah.
hesitate, you fail, right? If you don't believe in yourself, you fail. You will not be able to do a backflip if you hesitate. If you think that you're going to fail in the backflip and you do not commit yourself to doing the movement 100% with confidence that you are going to land that thing, then you're going to land on your neck, and it's going to be very, very dangerous. And so for the whole
Yeah.
first year, I didn't have access to a pole vault pit. I didn't
That's
have access to any of that stuff, but I went to the local like gymnastics, like kids thing, and I learned how to do backflips and somersaults, and like I was on the trampoline and doing all that stuff. And
just so that you
then
could learn
just
confidence.
so that I could learn the confidence to go pole vault.
That's
And then I
fantastic.
put a pole vault in my hand. And I just went, give me, and I just, they were like, okay, calm down, calm down. And I just didn't care at all. Like, I don't care about my own health or safety. I just said, well, just give it to me. Like, it doesn't matter to me at all. And then it was the same thing. Like, I went to the bobsled run the first time, and, like, they're like, okay, you could die. Like, this is very dangerous and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I just give it to me. Just shut up, give me the rings. and
Yeah.
and that was it, because there was just like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be fine, everything's gonna be fine. And
So
that confidence is what brought me there. Like, without
I
that mental side, I wouldn't have accomplished anything in my life.
Oh, I agree with that, especially that when you're talking about going sideways, you have to have some confidence in not just in a specific thing, but just confidence in yourself to be able to change, right?
Yeah, and that was one
Yeah.
of the main reasons that I was able to make those sideways lateral moves and then just go sideways and up because my belief in myself was never like as like a tennis player specifically was believing myself as Shane. And I said, well, I'm going to figure this out like somehow, some way. And then I didn't put my entire identity in the
Hmm.
sport, which I think is incredibly important as well. And I think that's a lot
See,
of
that's the thing. What
kids
you're describing, yeah, I
get
agree.
good too early, and their entire identity is being good at
Yeah.
that activity, right? And they're not able to separate themselves from the activity. And that's another like all I do like in my I don't watch sports on TV. I don't know, I don't follow anything that has to do with the NFL, MLB, NBA. I can't tell you any players, nothing. I just read books. I'll play video games. I'll go on walks in the park with my girlfriend. I do anything that's so unbelievably not sports oriented, and I find things that are the opposite of sports, and I go
Yeah.
throw myself into those things because you have to remember in the back of your mind, like I could get hit by a truck tomorrow and lose the use of my legs, and then what? Right? Like if every part of my identity and everything that I like about myself is tied to running fast and jumping high, then what happens when I don't run fast and jump high anymore? Right? Or if I underperform at running fast and jumping high. And I think that's what destroys a lot of kids who are like prodigies. It
Hmm.
destroys their career because everything in their life is based around those game skills and being really good at tennis or whatever it is. I just was like, Shane Fisher is going to go to the Olympics, and then it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, tennis is going to be the vessel to get me there. And then when it wasn't tennis, it was like, all right, well, what's it going to be?
Something
Because I'm
else.
still going. Like there was never a doubt in my mind that I was going. It
Yeah.
was just like, oh well, it's not going to be this. So if bobsled hadn't worked out, you would have caught me on the handball team or ski canoe
Something.
kayak. Like it would have been some
Yeah.
other thing, and I would have been like, all right, well, I guess like I did, now I'm like really strong or something. So I guess like I'll be on the rowing team. Like I would have found something, and I would have just been like, all right, here it is. And then eventually I would have just gotten there.
Yeah.
I mean, like not to
No,
say I haven't gone to the Olympics yet, right? But like
well,
I've
that
done
was going to be my next question. I'm trying to figure out. Talk to me about where you are in your bobsled journey and where you're at in your grind right now.
So right now I'm taking a little bit of a sabbatical year in order to focus on this nonprofit that I'm launching. So because mathematically, you cannot really qualify for the games unless you raise enough money to be able to go to Europe and slide in Europe. Bobsled is the fourth most expensive sport in the world, behind I think like sailing, dressage, and polo. So it's very, very difficult to raise enough money. It would have cost me around $150,000.
Mm.
I wasn't able to raise the money to do it. So this year I did just one race kind of for fun in Park City. And then I'm planning on taking a sabbatical year next year just because I've been at it for a long time now and I need a little bit of a break. But I started this nonprofit called the American Paragons Foundation, and the entire point of this nonprofit is to help people like me, like a younger version of me. They have these sayings that the world will be a better place if we all start planting trees in the shade of which we'll never sit. And that's
Hmm.
kind of like my idea with this nonprofit is a lot of the things in the Olympic space are broken, and like the ability for Olympic athletes to train and develop a career and have a life and a family and even just like live a normal middle class life, like let alone making $1 million contracts, is disappearing.
Welcome to Mental Metal Coaching, where our mission is to help you learn to thrive in the face of adversity, not just survive it. We are passionate about empowering you to live, play, and work with a resilient and spirited mindset. Hi, I'm Matt Tillman. I'm an ICF professional coach and keynote speaker. My background as an athlete, basketball coach, teacher, and school administrator has equipped me with the insights that resonate deeply with the schools, teams, athletes, and coaches I work with. However, it's my personal journey through anxiety, cancer, and an ischemic stroke in 2020 that truly brings authenticity to my presentations. While learning to speak and write again, I also pursued and earned my ICF coaching certification. Now the practices I embrace are more than theoretical concepts. They're a way of life. Developing a positive mindset is within reach for all, but it requires self-awareness and the repetition of intentional activities. At Mental Metal Coaching, we'll guide you, your staff, and your students on this transformative journey. Together, let's forge your metal.
And like the ability for Olympic athletes to train and develop a career and have a life and a family, and even just like live a normal middle class life, like let alone making $1 million contracts, is disappearing. And the resources for us are few and far between. And so I said, well, I don't want, if I had a kid tomorrow and the kid said, I want to go to the Olympics too, I wouldn't want them to have to deal with what I have gone through. So I said, I'm just going to try to fix it. I'm going to just, things are broken and no one's fixing it. So it's just going to be me. And it's just that same mentality that I had where I was just like, I'm just going to do it. Everyone else says, oh, it can't be done because of, whatever other reasons. But I mean, people will tell you can't go to the Olympics too. And I didn't listen to them then. I'm not going to listen to them now. And so I've started this nonprofit, and like the main points of the nonprofit is to get Team USA athletes access to employment opportunities so they can work and train and not have the sword of Damocles of getting like fired hanging over their head all the time.
Because they're training too much, right?
Precisely, yeah. At a certain point, you're going to take time off from your job to go to a competition or do something, and the PTO is going to get denied, and you're going to take it anyway, and then you're going to get sacked, and then you're going to have to go find a new job, right? Because all these people in this movement are similar to me, where like they have that mentality of like, well, nothing's going to stop me, right? And like, oh, if I need to go get a new job, I'll just go get a new job, no problem, right? But then you end up bouncing around from job to job for a long time. And, you're in your mid-30s, you retire from sport, and then you've got a resume that doesn't make any sense, no real career skills to sit on, and no savings, no health insurance, no nothing. And you're like a decade or more behind all of your peers. And it's kind of a similar, not to make a direct equivalency, but like a lot of times veterans struggle a lot because
that's what it sounded like to me. Yeah,
they have a very specific MOS when they're in the service, and then they want to go get a job at like, I don't know, some like insurance company or something. They're like, I don't care how well you ruck, I don't care like if you could shoot like rocket propelled grenades because this is an insurance company. And you're like, well, I'm really good at shooting rockets. And it's like, okay, well, I'm really good at skiing fast, or like I'm good at bobsledding or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool, but that has nothing to do with this job, right? And like we're here to make money.
But I think that, and I know this is probably what you're finding, but I guarantee that there are employers out there that go, yeah, I don't care how fast you can run or how fast you can ski, but I know that if you have the work ethic to get that good at it, that's the kind of people I want on my program, and I will train them.
Skills. It's the soft skills.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I hate that term, by the way, soft skills. Yeah. Because it's not. That's the worst. It's the worst description of it.
It is, because it's like your personality, right? It's like who you are at a foundational level, right? And those are exactly the things that will make you a great worker. I've basically, the way that it works is I'm going out and I'm finding small and medium-sized companies. So companies where, imagine a company that has, 30 employees, 40 employees maybe, and, they're making $12 to $25 million a year. In real life, that's printing money, like that's doing incredibly well. But, you compare that to something like Sony or IBM, and it's like, it's nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the CEO or the founder of that company has a lot of direct oversight on who's getting hired, because it's not that giant, it's not a huge bureaucracy. And a lot of times those owners who don't understand, this is what, because the most common question I get is, you're not getting paid by the government? Like, I thought you guys were getting paid by the government. No, we're not getting paid by the government. We're not getting paid by anybody. And when they realize that, these guys are not getting paid at all to do this, they say, well, come work for me. I'll give you a job. Like, I would love to support, our American athletes in that way. And if I have a slightly less optimal employee for a couple of years, I'm doing my patriotic duty. That's fine with me. I'm still doing fine. They're not really losing it. And then when you retire as an athlete, you're about to be their most high performing employee, and they know it, right? Because they're savvy and they're forward thinking, right? And so I'm connecting these companies and these job opportunities with people who need those jobs.
Yeah.
And then I'm also connecting uh, entrepreneurial mentors, because those same, soft skills or whatever that make you very, very good at, bobsled or some of these other sports are the exact same things that would make you good at running a business. Like
Hmm.
there's three things I think about always. It's the willingness to suffer for what you want.
Yep.
And business owners need to be willing to suffer for what they want. If you want to go start something new, you better be ready to suffer. And if you're not ready, don't
Hmm.
bother. Number two, are you willing to commit yourself to one thing for a very extended period of time, right? And then number three, are you crafty? Can you find a way to overcome adversity and to figure out, how am I going to do this with XYZ obstacles in front of me? Those three things are what make you an Olympian, right? More than anything else, right? And those three things are also what would make you great in business.
Yeah.
But a lot of us don't have MBAs, right? We didn't go to school for business. We don't understand a lot. We don't know how to make a business plan or SWOT analysis or any of those
Right.
other things. But there's someone out there who can, that would love to help you, right? Because they say, again, they just want to be patriotic. They want to support Team USA athletes. They want to support these people. And we partner them together. They get together once a month and they talk through it, and they say, okay, well, like, let me hear your idea. And then they just go through it. And then over the course of several months to a year, they come up with a real actionable business plan, and they help these people be like financially independent on their own, which I'm super excited about. Then my biggest expense always is housing, like, and travel. Like,
Right.
we have to pay for our own flights, our own hotels, our own Airbnbs. I always have to get a house when I'm on tour for bobsled, because I have to put my sled in the garage. So I can't even get a hotel room and like be like, hey guys, let's go
Right.
sleep on the hotel room. We got to get a full house, because we got to park this thing somehow. And
Do you haul it around on a trailer?
yeah, no, we haul around in a boxing truck, like a moving truck.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean
and
that. So it's.
we
I'm
do
going to
it all
time out.
ourselves.
So time out here. I gotta clarify something here. Right. We're going to come back to the housing, but so they ask you if you want to be part of and try out for the bobsled team, and you
Yep.
say yes.
Mhm.
And then they bring you out there. Not only do you get paid for it, but it's like, by the way, you're good enough to do this, but you're going to have to pay for your own bobsled gear, training,
Everything. It's on you.
everything.
It's on you. Like they
Like
have
here's the
enough money.
track, and here's a coach. Everything else is on you.
Yeah, they have enough money to fund just a couple sleds every year. And like there are some people who have been around in the organization for a long, and this is not in any way disrespectful. This is honestly with full respect. Kaylee Humphreys. Most people in the Olympic space, especially the Winter Olympic space, have heard of Kaylee Humphreys. Alana Myers-Taylor. They're 5-time about to
Right.
be Olympians. They're incredible. They're gonna get the money, not me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's not enough money to go around, they ain't giving it to me. They're gonna give it to them, right? And that's fine. Like they deserve it. Like they're performing at an unbelievably high level. But that means that it's on me to figure it out. And on the bobsled team, like everybody, like we just go fundraise ourselves. Like we have to fly out there. We have to rent our own, like the runners we have to rent the sled from the organization. We have to rent the runners and the other stuff from the organization or from other athletes, which would cost like up to $10,000 a year. That's just the runners, not the sled. The sled's going to be like up to, depending on how good of a sled is, it might cost you $20,000 to rent the sled. You have to pay for all your own flights. When you get there, you have to get your own boxing truck to transport the stuff,
Sure.
like the sleds. You have to get your own tools in order to maintain the sled. And it's the ultimate blue collar sport. Like, it is on you. You go figure it out. Like you're Max Verstappen and the pit crew at the same time. And
Well, you got plenty of time because you can only run a run like a couple times a day. So you got
before a race, we have these things called sanding parties where we all are in there polishing the run. So we get sandpaper and we go down up to like 5,000, from like 80 grit to 5,000 grit. And then you're getting the acetone on it. And then we're getting diamond paste and diamond pasting them down. And we'll spend 6 hours just polishing all the runners on the bottom of the sled. And then we got to go compete the next day. And then if it's a double header, we're gonna go compete, and then we're gonna go back We're going to polish it for another 6 hours, and then we're going to go compete again the next day. And then you got to get in the truck and drive off to the next spot. And all of those costs are fall on your shoulders as a team.
That's
and especially as a pilot, the pilot fronts the majority of the costs. So it's and that's another thing. Like, I have to go get a house, because if I don't have a house, if it's snowing, if there's a blizzard outside, which is pretty common, you can't do it outside. You have to bring it inside, and you want it to be warm. You want it, and you have to be able to melt the snow out of the sled from the day previously, and you have to be able to take it inside and deal with all that stuff inside. And so you can't even get a hotel. You can't do any of that stuff. You have to, or if you do get a hotel, you have to have designated parking spots for it, which are always an additional cost or something like that. But it's usually easier to just get an Airbnb with a garage.
I know, but see, that's the thing, is I think that's what's so cool about the Paragon thing is, if I knew this existed, and I don't live near a bobsled track, but if I lived near a bobsled track and I had extra room and a garage, I would be like, dude, you guys come to my house. I would love it.
That was the idea. There's so many people around.
It's so many people would love it.
That they go, oh, I would help out with that, right? And so, we are essentially, we designed Team USA Airbnb, right? So I'm outreaching to athletes, and it goes way beyond bobsled. This is every sport, summer, winter, para sports, everything across Team USA, where people will put in a request and say, hey, I'm going to Los Angeles for a track meet or whatever it is, and then they say, do you have a house at from this date to this date? And then it goes into our matchmaking system, and if there's a person who says, I want to support those people, I would give them a house for free. I'd let them stay at my place, or I'd give them a big discount, just pay for professional cleaning at the end, whatever it is, and then they get to write it off as a donation to my nonprofit, so they get a tax write-off, number one, and then they get to support. And most of these people have, because we're targeting on the sports side so many high net worth individuals, this is one of 9 forms of income for them. It doesn't hurt their bottom line at all to donate their 7th rental property for a couple days. You know what I mean? It's nothing to them, and it could change these guys' lives. It could be the difference between them going into debt to try and chase their dreams, and these are our chosen representatives. These are the absolute best that this nation has to offer. And the number of people who are willing to just say, yeah, I want to help those guys out. That's, we're a country, let's support each other.
Well, that's the thing. It's an awareness issue.
It is. So much of it is an awareness issue. And so, because I'm batting almost 1,000 when I'm telling people about the organization, when I'm telling people about the mission and why it needs to exist, everyone say, oh, sign me up. Let's go. I want to help, even if it's just sign me up for the newsletter. I want to come do an event, or I want to do XYZ. Everybody wants to get involved and wants to support, because we want our United States athletes to do well. I think we should just go sweep everything. Dude, if we got paid even 1/10 what professional basketball players got paid, no other country would win anything ever again. It would just be the United States just sweeping every podium forever.
Yeah.
We all the way down to they could add tic-tac-toe to the Olympics and we'd still win.
Well, I wouldn't have agreed with you until I didn't know that, because I didn't realize that was the situation. I didn't know it was. Imagine
all the hurdles these people are overcoming in order to go to the games, and when almost all these other countries are state funded, right? And so if we're that competitive with them, when it's just a bunch of people who are like me figuring it out and just saying I'm going to get crafty and I'm going to find a way, imagine what those people could do if we fully supported them, in every way. They would be unstoppable, because they're
I would say,
as good as them.
Yeah. I would say that there might be something to be said for the fact of part of the success is because of the gritty nature that it creates.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think you're a long way from removing all that.
And I still think that with American Paragons and what we're trying to do, I don't think my kind of vision and goal is, it's something that I tell people all the time, is that I think it's not unfair to say you should be able to be a Team USA athlete, a national representative, and go to the Olympics and be a professional athlete, and bring your country immense amounts of pride and
Right.
live a middle class life. I
Right.
think I don't think that that's unreasonable to
I don't
ask.
either.
You
I
know,
don't either. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it even if the thing is, hey, these men and women shouldn't be going into debt doing this.
precisely. You know, like these
Yeah,
people should be able to at least like have health insurance and be able to own a home in the town that they grew up in, right? Like
yeah.
that. I don't think that that is an unreasonable thing to say. Like there's so much money in Olympic sport, and there's so much money in our country that like if people who are riding the bench in the NBA have six mansions, you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
we can
listen,
we
hey,
can
it's not
get
even that. It's even it's college sports now. When we
yeah,
talk about,
it's
I mean,
everywhere.
that's yeah.
It's
Well,
unbelievable.
and it's funny because you say that because when we talk about college football and college basketball now, and somebody will complain about this system and paying for these players, and there's good and bad with it. But I think my response is, yeah, but we all watch, right?
Yeah.
So we're all watching. So you're part of the system. But what's amazing to me is, at least I do, millions of people watch the Olympics too, but none of that is going
Most
back.
watched thing, period. The most watched thing, like I think in the world history on TV was Usain Bolt's 100-meter final
Right.
in '08.
And what
I'm
I'm
pretty
saying,
sure
but none of
it was like
that,
80% of every television that operated on the planet was tuned into
and just so I don't have a problem when all the money from people from the advertisements and stuff are going back to players like basketball and football. Because I'm like, they're kind of the ones putting the work in.
that.
But
Absolutely.
it's not, but that clearly that is not, that's not the funnel that
There's a
exists with
breakdown
US Olympic.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
Olympic space, and I don't think that it's we don't need to say, not every Olympian wants or cares about being a millionaire or multimillionaire or anything like that.
Right.
It's just saying like I want to be able to go chase this thing and self actualize and be the person that I know that I am, and to make my town and my city and my country proud, and to inspire the next generation of people to be the absolute best versions of them, which is what being, in my mind, being an American Paragon is.
Yeah.
Like that's what it means to be an American. That's what it means to be the best of us. And living a middle class, like reasonable life, or just not going into debt is, I think, the least of what we could do for them.
Yeah. And I love the idea of it, obviously, because you contacted me and I'm going to be in on that part of it of hopefully giving a
You're going to be able to
platform.
have so many cool conversations with
I'm
a
so
lot. We've been having people signing up left, right, and sideways. This outreach I've been doing, because I designed everything over the last couple, like the last year, really was like I decided, okay, all the tech infrastructure. I just put my head down and said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And I'm just going to go build something. And over the last couple weeks has been when I said, okay, well, it's time to go build the athlete base, right? Because the whole premise works off of an athlete database, right? I need as many athletes
right.
as possible, and then I need supporters, right? And then it's a matchmaking system that's facilitated through all of that data. And I said, okay, well, I have to go fill out the athlete side, right? That would be easier to fill the athlete side before the supporter side, because supporters are going to want to see that there's like people that they can help, right? Like if someone says, hey, I'd like to do a media opportunity or something, and then I'm like, yeah, I'll call you in 6 months when I have an athlete, they're gonna be like, okay, well, never mind. But yeah.
Right.
So I'm batting almost 1,000 again. Like everybody I'm calling is going like, this needs to exist. Like, thank you so much for making this. Like, I'm excited to do this. I'm calling people from every sport you can imagine. I'm getting people from curling, from Nordic combined biathlon, sailing, handball, diving. I mean, like everything that exists, beach volleyball, like you name it. Like I've been doing outreach. I'm on the phone like 8 hours a day. All I do is talk on the phone and send emails now, it seems. And I'm really, really excited for what we're going to be able to do, and the difference we're going to be able to make. And I think you're going to be able to have just hundreds of very, very interesting conversations about mental fortitude and
I mean,
the mental side of sports with everyone with every perspective.
I'm so excited about it. I think it's such a great thing. If I can help you in this pursuit in any small way, I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for having me on. This has been super duper fun, and
Oh,
I'll come back on whenever you want me.
absolutely. Last question I always ask every guest.
Okay.
What did I not ask you that I should have?
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh boy, I think you should have asked. You should have asked me. Oh, you asked me so many good questions. This is really tough
Well,
because I feel
that's
like
good.
you asked me a lot of really fun, interesting questions. Let's say you're gonna have to cut out me thinking for a while.
That's okay.
Um,
And if you think I did a good enough job, then
I
we
think
can.
I think you did a good enough job. How about this? If I think of something, I'll just have to come back and tell you.
I love it.
We'll have
I
to do
love it,
another
Shane.
episode.
Thank you so much for. I know you're busy. I know you're doing a lot of stuff, and I hope that I can help. And it's just it's been so great talking to you. I have no doubt that you're going to apply your same grit and attitude towards this venture as you are in everything else you've done. And that is kind of the point of what we were talking about gritty athletes make really good employers and really good business entrepreneurs, is because they don't switch it off.
It just
It's
is who you are.
it's what you are, right? And you're building that, right? So you even get better at it. So it's fantastic, Shane. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. It's been my absolute pleasure.
Dude, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. A paragon is a model of excellence, a standard by which others are measured, which makes it a perfect word for Olympians who embody dedication, resilience, and the very peak of physical and mental performance. With that in mind, we want to highlight our partners at the American Paragons Foundation. They're a nonprofit supporting Team USA athletes in underfunded women's and adaptive sports by helping them with career opportunities, media exposure, and real-world support beyond competition. Here at the Mental Metal Podcast, we are proud to be collaborating with them and help amplify the stories and missions of athletes who deserve more visibility. Check out AmericanParagons.org to learn more. There are a ton of ways you can get involved that don't cost a dime. Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport, and they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Metal Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set. So there we have it, the interview with Shane Fisher, the USA Bobsled pilot and founder of the American Paragons Foundation. I felt like that story is it was news to me on just the struggle and the grind it takes, not just physically and mentally, but like financially, which adds to the mental strain. What it takes then to become a U.S. athlete, and almost like it's amazing somebody does it. It really speaks to how dedicated and just committed to the grind that someone has to be. I don't want to say at an unhealthy level, because I think that saying that means that we are definitely prioritizing like having a career and stuff over a pursuit like this. And I think we can get into that trap and thinking that, well, you can't continue to do this because it's going to set you back in life. But that's a vision of, well, what's the point of life? And if he's chasing something that he loves and what he wants to do to become good at it, and that's his goal, and that's what he wants to do, and he's doing it for a reason, to become an Olympian and do these things. If that means he's a little bit behind on quote unquote life, well, maybe it's our description of life that we need to reevaluate. But either way, it's admirable, and I do think it really spoke to me because, again, I watch the Olympics. I love the Olympics, and I know the sort of dedication it must take to be that good at something. And I do feel like, well, obviously I'm becoming a partner on purpose because I want these athletes to tell their story and try to help some funding and for them to be able to gain employment and not have to pay for all the housing and shouldn't have to rent a bobsled to be able to be a bobsled athlete. It's crazy. And I think that any little bit I can do to help there is fantastic. I'm all about it. I'm excited. And just following up with the idea of some of these people these athletes getting, struggling to get jobs and being good employees. I feel like it's a no-brainer that once they get done with, and I get it that their schedule is going to be a little bit dicey for a while, and they may not be the best employee for a while whenever they can't be there, obviously. But like those quote unquote soft skills, again, that I hate that term because those are the real skills that I think matter. Those skills are what eventually make a great employee, because that's what makes a great person, and a great person will eventually make a good employee once they learn some things and you teach them some things. But they've got the grit and the passion to do something, so long as it's something they want to do. It's interesting for me, that story, and we're going to hear more of those. Again, I've got coming up in the weeks ahead. Not every interview and every episode I have coming up is going to be with an Olympian, but a lot are. I've got a sports cyclist coming. She's a multiple-time national champion. I've got a discus thrower. I've got a guy who is at the Olympics now, getting ready to compete, or he may have already compete, depending on when it comes out. He's a Nordic combined skier, which is the ski jump plus the cross country. It's a really cool discipline that's actually predates both of those events. Like, that was a combined event before it was a separate events, which is interesting. I didn't know that. I've got a U.S. climber, does the bouldering, does the sport climbing, like when you have him on there, he has lists of things that he is like, I'm the 15th or 14th or whatever person to ever do this, or I'm only one of 75 people in the world that have ever done this. We're talking about elite people, and tapping into their mind and the way they think. We may not, most us normal humans and not Olympians are never going to be able to do exactly what they can do to that level, and not even be mentally as focused as they are. But we can definitely pick pieces out to use to apply to how we coach, how do we play, how do we parent. There's definitely things that we can pick out, and that's what I want to gain. So I want to help those athletes. I want to help the American Paragons Foundation. But here's what I want to pull out. What can we learn from these people and use to our advantage? And that's what this podcast is about, is how do we develop that mental toughness and keep that mental health and those things. And that's what I'm so excited about. And not only just how to use it, but just how do you continue to build it, create it, and know that you can. When I say at the end of the show every time, forge your metal, it's not just a catchphrase. It is, that metal is that ability to face adversity in a spirited and resilient manner, and that is something that we create. We can make that happen. We can develop it. We can build it. We can use it for our advantage, to use adversity as the fire to develop our metal. And it's just, to be able to talk to real elite athletes about these things is really special, and I'm really excited about it, and I hope you continue to join. Like, share, subscribe, really help me out, and I would love that. So thank you so much. This has been the Mental Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman, and always remember to forge your metal. Thanks for listening to the Mental Metal Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Metal Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Metal Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your metal.